So we're looking at how to write a purpose statement. So for our standard, what we're going to need to do are a number of steps. The first thing we need to do is find our purpose, and you've got to state that, and the audience and a few things like that. You then will pose some survey questions. So design yourself a little questionnaire with some questions in it. You'll carry out a desk review where somebody else will look at your questions and see if there's ways they can improve them. You'll do a pilot study, so you'll send that out to a few people to test the survey. And throughout the whole process, you're going to do a log or a journal just saying what decisions you've made along the way. So we're going to start by looking at our target population. So this is looking at who is it that we want to survey. So if you're a business designing cell phones, you might be looking at young to middle-aged people that have the money and interest in buying a cell phone. That might be your target population. So the target population is the group of people that you want to get information from. Okay, so we're not going to take the whole population. We're going to take a sample from within that target population, mostly due to cost and time that it would take. For example, taking a census costs hundreds of millions of dollars, and that's why New Zealand only does it every 4 or 5 years. So let's have a look at a sample. We're going to start with our research population. That's the whole group that we're interested in. Then within that group, we look at our sampling frame and we say, okay, well, who can we actually get a list of? Okay, so now we look at our list and say, right, who do we actually got a list of addresses or phone numbers or email addresses for these people we want to, that we're interested in. Then we look at the sample and we'll send out information to all the people in our sample. And then from within that group, we get a smaller group that actually respond to our survey. Okay, and those are called the respondents. So once we've got that sample, we use that information to make an inference about what happens in the population. And that inference that we make, they then use that to make any decisions that we need to make. So let's have a look at the purpose. We want to look at the reason why we're doing this. Okay, so the intention, the reason that we're going to do this questionnaire. We need to think about who our audience are. So these are thinking about who will want to know the results of this questionnaire. Okay, so here's an example. We want to develop a questionnaire to look at issues around the school canteen. So there's 3 groups that could be interested. And this can be part of our audience. The Canteen Management Committee, or the Board of Trustees, or the Student Council. So we want to design purpose statements for each of those different groups. So we'll start with the Canteen Management Committee and think, well, what reason would they have to want to collect some information? So, for example, they might want to look at the current menu and say, does it meet the needs of the staff and students here at OSC? We might want to know whether the pricing of those menu items are acceptable. Okay, so that might be some reasons why the Canteen Management Committee would want to do a questionnaire. If we look at a different audience, so we look at the Board of Trustees now, then we'll think, well, what reasons might they have for wanting a questionnaire around the school canteen? So it might be checking to see whether it matches the healthy food in schools policy that the Ministry of Education has. Okay, it might look at how often people are using that canteen, and it might look at the level of service. Are staff and students happy with the service and the menu at the school? So that's some 3 different possible purposes for the Board of Trustees to want a questionnaire about this. Lastly, let's have a look at the Student Council and we'll think, why might the Student Council be interested in this? Well, they might want to know how satisfied students are. They might want to know how nutritional the food is. Okay, so that's what we want to be able to do, is we need to be able to define what our audience is and define a purpose for our questionnaire itself.